Welcome to Martini Time, and we shall see where my monkey mind takes us today. I had a frog glass, and I would ask the frog to dive down into the pond of the unconscious, come up with a treasure. So now I ask the monkey. And today I've been jumping around on Trump. So it seems like we're in a national obsession to understand Trump. Particularly if you watch the cable news. It's driving Morning Joe nuts. It's driving people nuts. Because the world is supposed to be logical. The world is supposed to be rational. We depend upon that. The secular world that we have created since the end of the Middle Ages is a logical, rational world whose religion is science. And it's created a fantastic civilization, the greatest civilization known to humanity. But we also have a breakdown of this system today. You see the war on science, the war on logic, real news, fake news. That's not logical. There can only be one news. Fake news, fake facts, real facts, that's not logical. There can only be one fact, one set of facts, you see. So something's breaking down and is creating anxiety, if not terror. It's the fear of psychosis. It's the fear of the ant colony if somebody were to lift the rock under which it's building its colony, its society. Everything goes blah, blah, chaos. The fear of chaos is a terrifying fear, and we could see it, chaos happening in places in the world like Syria. Syria is an example of the breakdown of logic and reason. Wars are the breakdown of logic and reason. World War I was a breakdown of logic and reason. World War II, from our point of view, was very logical and reasonable. They were the bad guys, we were the good guys, we're going to wipe them out, period. No problem with that. But since World War II, we've had these ambiguous situations. Ambiguity is not logical. And we don't understand ambiguity. And it's driving us nuts. So let's take a look at Trump. Because here we have a clear example of ambiguity and why it drives us crazy. Now, and I remember back when Trump first started, several opinion writers who knew Trump said the way to understand Trump was through worldwide wrestling. And he brought it up yesterday, I believe, when he tweeted a worldwide wrestling clip of him wrestling down or defeating the media. All right, so let's take a look at worldwide wrestling, because Trump loves it. He was a promoter. He'd appear on it. He loves it. He understands it. What is worldwide wrestling? All right? Well, the Romans had worldwide wrestling. We called it, the Colosseum was the ring, and the gladiators were the wrestling. And these were morality plays in the sense you had good guys versus bad guys. But they played for death, so it wasn't fake. But now worldwide wrestling is kind of like a gladiator sport. These guys are pumped up gladiators, and they all have a character. You have good wrestlers and villains. Some fans like the villains, some like the good guys. And it's like a cosmic war of good versus evil, and the winner will be crowned king of the world. And then it starts over again. So it continues. It's a play. And the fans suspend disbelief and join in cheering for their savior or a good guy or bad guy, savior or devil, God or the devil. They cheer as if they were real, and they even get in fights. It's a blood sport because they suspend disbelief and they believe it's real. Okay, so this is a morality play. A morality play, like in the Middle Ages, you would have little plays going from town to town, maybe puppets, and they would play out moral themes. I grew up with morality plays. They were called Westerns. Old black and white Westerns with Tom Mix and Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. And you have the guy with the white hat and the villain with the black hat. And you got the good guys chasing the bad guys and the bad guys chasing them back and forth. Then they stop and shoot. Bang, bang, bang. And then the good guy kills the bad guy or runs him out of town and order is restored. Ha ha. A morality play. I watch British mysteries. They're morality plays. The good guy, the detective inspector, figures out who the villain is, puts him in jail, order restored. So we love morality plays. We love the good overcoming evil. What is evil but tension? Evil is not something, it's a disorder, it's a break in order. It's a grain of sand in the oyster. It's a thorn under your saddle. Now, evil is that which breaks up rational order, breaks the whole up into two parts or fragments it. You see, so we have to remove evil that we believe is the cause for our division and wound. Division is a wound. We are whole until divided. And when we're divided, we seek with all of our heart the restoration of the whole. If you're religious, you call that God. The restoration of God. The restoration of good over evil. Same play, different names, you see. So worldwide wrestling is a performance. It's not a sport because it's not real. But, it's a performance of the cosmic game between good versus evil. That goes all the way back to Zoroaster in Persia, before the Hebrews were even taken captivity, before they even had a name. See, this was the first duality mythology that divided the one into a good, dark, and a light side. And they had a cosmic war that would end in Armageddon and the restoration of the good. So all humanity had to enlist on one side or the other. Be the sons of light, you see. Of course, if your side is the light side, the other guy's dark. But if you're the other guy, you're light and you're dark. Wow, 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 wow. Until it all blows up or a new idea comes into being that unites the preceding dissonance or opposites. It's called a peace. The peace accord, you see, and all that. But let's get back to Trump. Okay. So he's a morality play in the sense that he sees the world as good versus evil, and of course he's the good. And if you have good, you got to have evil. It's a fill in the blank. You got to have somebody in that chair. You got to have somebody at the other end of the ring. You can't go out and wrestle yourself. Oh. Maybe Trump does. Trump is playing both sides. He's the villain and the savior, the good guy and the bad guy. This has been his modus operandi. The reason he beat everybody on the field, all the Republicans, beat them out, beat Hillary, wiped them out, because he was playing both sides of the ring. One minute he's a good guy, the next simultaneously he's taking the opposite side. You see, good and bad are contradictions, opposites. Two different references, you see. But they are mutually dependent because they are in the same ring. So the ring is the field that contains the two contestants of good versus evil. And if you don't see the ring, all you see is your guy versus the other guy who you want eliminated. And if you cheer for the other guy, then you want this guy eliminated. You see how that's the way it goes. That's the way the game is played. And if a game is evenly divided, where neither can defeat the other, it goes on forever. Each one trying a new move to defeat the other guy. Each guy coming up with a new gimmick, a new performance, a surprise to defeat the other guy. But if they're both masters, neither can defeat the other, and it goes on and on and on. That's what happened in the First World War. Neither could defeat the other. One side says, I'll invent a tank. And the other guy had a tank. I'll invent a cannon so big, and the other guy invented a cannon so big. And so, wah, wah, wah. That happened in the Cold War. Each side invented a new power that equal, no matter what they did. Wah, 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 you see. So a wrestling match goes until one side defeats the other. But what if the wrestler is playing both sides? What if the wrestler is self-divided and has a split in the mind? What if the wrestler, you see, now this is where we're getting into psychodrama. All right, so Trump has brought the game, a performance, which was very successful. Now this performance cleared the field until he got to the new ring. The new ring is the presidency, the nation. Now he's like center stage in the globe. He's center stage in the Colosseum is the whole globe now, and he's down there in the center. So he has to keep. If he's going to do a wrestling match, he's got to have an opponent. He has to have an opponent. But the irony is that if the presidency is an office that unites all opposites. There is no other American for the president. The president is all Americans. But Trump has divided the presidents into the good president versus the other that has to be eliminated because he's challenging the good president for the one. But the president is already the one. So Trump, in his psychodrama, in his need for an opponent to wrestle and pin, you see, he's got to pin him. So in his need to somebody to pin, he creates enemies. And of course, the enemy says, I'm not an enemy, I'm an American too. You see. So he divides America in his intention to unite America. And this is called a double bind. No matter what he does, he self-defeats himself. Because he's arm wrestling. If I push here, I'm going to push back. You see? He's created a wrestling match, a performance, a morality play of good versus evil, but he has to create the evil in order to wrestle it to the ground and be number one. So he's always trying to win the crown to be number one when he is already number one. That's what people can't figure out. What's wrong with you? You're already president. You come. Can you believe it? I'm president. He can't let go of his performance. He believes his performance is real. So he believes wrestling is real, you see. But unfortunately now, the wrestling ring is the nation where everything is real. His opponents are not pretend opponents. His opponents are not fake opponents. You see? And if he pushes a war button, the people dying will not be wrestlers lying on the ring mat, pretending to be unconscious. It'll be us playing in his morality play. Bush did that, you see. Look what happened. Bush created a morality play between us and the great evil Saddam. So now, by going to war with the great evil, we created a great army, a great mighty arm to destroy evil, you see. And so we went to war with evil. And look what happened. Evil fragmented. There's a myth about that. One of the myths of Hercules. You keep chopping up one, it creates seeds and grows more. So every one you kill, you grow 10 more. You see. So, same with Trump. Every enemy he has, he grows 2 more. So he fights the media. And he tackles big enemies, media. That's his primary enemy, because you have to have a worthy enemy. And with the media as the enemy, he can divide reality into 2 parts. With him being king of one part and the fake people being the king of the other part. 2 kings vying for the crown over the one, you see. And the crowds cheer for the savior, for gorgeous George, gorgeous Trump, you see. And he flexes his muscles, stands on the ring ropes. And when the media comes in, boo, boo. WrestleMania. And why has this happened? Well, we've been conditioned for it. Ever since TV came into our existence, ever since the TV levitated down into our living rooms like an alien, everybody sat around it and worshipped it. Everybody sat around there and looked at it, waiting for it to come on. You look at that propeller there that only came on in the evening. And you sit there waiting for it to come on, watching that signal. Nobody remembers that. Sit there and wait, and then it would come on. Howdy doody time. And somebody would sell you the latest salad cutter. Hadn't changed there. So, media has conditioned the American mind to believe that media is reality. If it's on TV, it's real. You see. But even news is performance, in a sense that the media cameramen and the editors choose what to put on for the purpose of getting you to view it. So news is presented in a way that will create your interest and have you tune into the news and root for the news, you see, because the news is presenting a morality play. Oh no, death is the enemy. Oh no, death hit again. There was a car wreck. Oh no, somebody was killed. Oh no, death happened. We're going to defeat death. We're good. First responders rush in, clean up the dead bodies. Nobody said, oh, where was it? We don't know. Immediately the bodies are picked up. Whisk brooms come out, clean up the blood, wash it down. No death here, no death. And we're going to find out what caused that death and eliminate it. It'll never happen again. We swear that. Vote for me. I'll eliminate that death. Vote for me. I'll make death not happen. You see. Morality play. Death is the enemy now, you see. So once you stage that, death is the enemy, you just fill in the blank. Immigrants are the new death. Gays are death. You see. Anything you want, you fill in the blank, and you've got a morality play, and people will vote for you because they're watching TV. The best performance gets the votes. So if you can really believe your performance, like a method actor who believes he's a character so well that you can't even tell who's acting. But when he goes home that night, most often he forgets that he's the character. Some maybe stay in character for the whole play. If they don't, they end up in an insane asylum with their hand in the coat, believing they're Napoleon or Jesus. You know, they believe the performance was real. They forgot. So we forget the performance is a performance, and we believe it's real. And now, once you believe it's real, you're hooked into the morality play of good versus evil. And you're going to root for the good side and hate the bad side and cheer when he gets rid of the bad side. But it just recreates a new evil, a new other, because the game is not seen. The game of two opponents creates the characters, so the ring, the morality plays, goes through time, creating new fill-in-the-blanks. The pattern or the game recreates itself. That's called karma. The pattern recreates itself, filling in new historical content, so you get deceived and think it's something new. But the pattern is old, you see. That's why people keep saying, oh, Trump is like Hitler or Mussolini. Well, what they're looking at is the pattern. Or just look at worldwide wrestling. You don't have to go back to Hitler. Just turn on the TV and watch wrestling. You'll see the pattern. So Trump is our first performance president. And the problem Trump has is that he can't surrender his winning game to play the role of president. Now, Nixon made the fatal mistake of believing he was president. I'm the president. The president, whatever the president does, it's legal. You know, that's the imperious presidency, which is basically what the monarch in England was, who ruled by divine rights. The king could not make a mistake. The king could never be illegal. Whatever the king did or said, was what's real. So we got rid of that with the Declaration of Independence. We cut that cord to the God King, to the God Man, and made everything, our government, checks and balances. Logically checked and balanced. So the system is like a clock that runs through time, filling in new historical figures who tweak it and correct it and wind it up and keep it going. But if you mess with the mechanism, you're going to destroy the checks and balances, and the clock won't keep time. And that's what Trump is trying to do, because he is not surrendering to the office of the president as a function, you see. Because in order for him to do that and take on the power of the presidency, which is given by the office, the charisma of the presidency, he refuses to surrender his performance that got him to the presidency. And that's why people say, well, he's still campaigning. Well, what does that mean? It means that he won't surrender and become president. You see, president is the mythological king who is died and resurrected. In ancient times, the king was actually killed, or he killed himself. He would last a while, and then he would be killed, or he would kill himself as a ritual act, and a new king would come, you see. This is the dying and resurrection. Does it sound familiar, of Jesus? Dying and resurrection of life itself. Life dies into itself so it can be resurrected. Death and dying, dying and death. It's all one, you see. So the king is a reenactment of this dying and resurrection. So every 4 years our king dies and we resurrect him. Either he gets another 4 years, or in 8 years he dies. The person doesn't die. He dies to the office. Now Obama is just a normal human being again. But for 8 years he was president. A divine office in the sense that he has the power of the whole society. He is the society in flesh and blood, you see. That's why a lot of people hated Obama, because they didn't want a black face hanging on the wall with all those white ones. So he was like a birther, illegitimate, you see. But that's another story. Trump made himself famous by declaring Obama illegitimate. But anyway, that's another story. So the point is that we're trying to look at today is to get a sense that the wrestling ring of the morality recreates itself in time. It creates itself in our own individual lives. We're all in a morality play. When I'm for the good and you're for the evil, go to Facebook. It's a morality play. Everybody wants to be righteous. Their opinion is righteous, is the right opinion. Your opinion is wrong. And we're going to try to pin each other through reason and logic. And if that doesn't work, I'll defriend you. Kick you out of the ring. You see, excommunicate you. Or it's a form of shooting. You can't shoot somebody on Facebook, so you just eliminate them from history. They're gone, you see. So, Facebook is a morality play, if you get into that, the opinion wars, you see. So, pay attention to this idea of the morality play and watch the performance of Trump as he hand wrestles himself, being very frustrated because he can't pin himself. He thinks he has a good move, and damn if he doesn't come out during the night and throw out a tweet that pins his own move. That's what's going. You see, he'll come up with a winning move and then pin it with a tweet. Self-defeating. You see, because he does not see. His mind is like two talking heads on the TV that are arguing against himself. So he's a split personality, arguing. He's bipolar, arguing against himself, trying to defeat himself, creating himself as his own enemy. That's called self-loathing. When there's self-loathing to the degree that Trump has, you're going to create psychodramas in which you project your self-loathing onto the other and then go to war with the other to get rid of your own self-loathing. That's the way that works. It's a mirror reflection. The enemy is his own face. So he goes to war with the media. And ironically, he loves the media. He lives in the media. He wants to be on the media. He wants the media to pay attention. So he's really getting his cake and eating it too. By going to war with the media, he gets attention, and he gets an enemy, and he gets his morality play. You see, so he gets to create an enemy, go to war with the enemy, and he gets to continue the game. He gets to move the game down every day. It's a new evening at World Wild Wrestling. WWW. So, just to close, I remember a wedding I did, and they were taking group pictures, and the groom was a little immature in that he was hanging out with his buddies, you know. And during the group pictures, he was doing this in secret, you know, having a secret. This is worldwide wrestling. I guess. But he would do these little signs. And when his wife saw that, she almost ended the wedding right then. I don't know what happened to him. But, you know. Anyway, worldwide wrestling. And, yeah, so I think that's a good way to understand the ring is now the nation, and Trump is going to war with reflections of himself. Searching, yearning for unity. And he can't find it because he's chasing himself in a mirror. So, thanks for dropping in, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.